Quiet. Can we start the live stream, please?
Webinar started.
Thank you. Quiet, please. Good morning, and welcome to the subcommittee on zoning and franchises. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, and one of us, the Sergeant of Arms, will kindly assist you. At no time, please do not approach the dais. Thank you for your kind cooperation. Chair, we're ready to begin.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a meeting of the Subcommittee of Zoning and Franchises. I'm Councilmember Kevin Riley, Chair of the subcommittee. This morning, I'm joined by Councilmember Shulman, Councilmember Carr, Councilmember Mealy, Chair Lewis, and Councilmember Joseph. Okay. Today, we will hold two votes, one regarding a significant initiative by the administration to simple the zoning regulations, in South Richmond on Staten Island, and another vote regarding the project in Brooklyn. We will also hold two public hearings regarding the proposed residential projects in Brooklyn. Before we begin, I recognize the subcommittee counsel to review the hearing procedures.
Thank you, Chair. I'm William Vidal, counsel to the subcommittee. This meeting is being held in hybrid format. Members of the public who wish to testify may testify in person or via Zoom. Members of the public who wishing to testify remotely may register by visiting the New York City Council website at www.council.nyc.gov/landuse to sign up. Or for those of you here in the chambers, please see one of the Sergeant-at-Arms to prepare and submit a speaker card. Members of the public may also view a live stream broadcast of this meeting at the Council's website. When you are called to testify before the subcommittee, if you are joining us remotely, you will remain muted until recognized by the chair or myself to speak. When you are recognized, your microphone will be unmuted. Please take a moment to check your device and confirm that your mic is on before you begin speaking. We will limit public testimony to 2 minutes per witness. If you have additional testimony that you would like the subcommittee to consider, or if you have written testimony you would like to submit instead of appearing before the subcommittee, please email it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Please indicate the LU number and/or project name in the subject line of your email. We request that witnesses joining us remotely remain in the meeting until excused by the chair, as council members may have questions. Chair Riley will now continue with today's agenda items.
Thank you, Council. We will begin with the votes. The first vote is to approve with modification LU's 263 regarding the South Richmond zoning relief proposal on Staten Island in Minority Leader Borelli's district. This initiative by the administration is an effort to simplify the regulations applicable in the special South Richmond district that is mapped over southern Staten Island. The special district was created in the 1970s, and the regulations of the special districts are out of date. The proposal will streamline the regulations and will more effectively balance the need for additional housing while preserving South Shore's natural environment. The modifications are focused on ensuring that the existing projects under development are not negatively impacted by this initiative and involve a few administration corrections. The second vote is to approve with modifications LU's 271, 276 regarding 703 Myrtle Avenue in Councilmember Ressler's district in Brooklyn. This is a proposal to develop a mixed-use building with approximately 54 apartments and a ground floor retail in Bedford-Stuyvesant. This rezoning would change an existing manufacturing district, M1-1, to a residential district, R7D, within commercial overlay C2-4. This proposal is consistent with recent rezoning along the stretch of Myrtle Avenue. This rezoning will involve mapping mandatory inclusionary housing over the rezoned area, and the modification is to restrict the affordable units to an average of either 40% or 60% AMI. I now call for a vote to approve with modifications LU's 263 relating to South Richmond zoning for relief proposal, and to approve with modifications LU's 275 and 276 relating to the 703 Myrtle Avenue rezoning proposal. Council, please call the roll.
Chair Riley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair Lewis, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Councilmember Shulman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carr, how do you vote?
Aye.
We have 4 in the affirmative, and all of the 2 measures are voted.
Thank you, Council. We're going to leave the vote open for a few. I will now open the public hearing on preconsiders LU relating to the 534 Coney Island Avenue rezoning proposal in Councilmember Joseph District in Brooklyn. This is a proposal to develop a mixed-use building with approximately 43 apartments and ground floor retail in Kensington. This rezoning will change an existing commercial district C8-2 to a residential district R7X with a commercial overlay C2-4. This rezoning would involve mapping mandatory inclusionary housing over the rezoned area. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit written testimony, you can always do so by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And I would now like to see if Councilmember Joseph has any remarks for this project.
Thank you, Chair Riley. Good morning, everyone. I'm Councilmember Rita Joseph. I'm here to discuss 534 Coney Island Avenue rezoning. This proposal would rezone a current C8-2 district, which does not permit residential development, to a R7X C2-3 district permitting mid-rise mixed-use development, including permanently affordable units, through the MIH program. The applicants have proposed 2 versions of this plan. The original proposal would yield 43 total units, 11 of which would be affordable under MIH and a building heights of 11-story. The alternative proposal is to yield 42 total units, 11 which would be affordable under MIH and a building height of 9 stories. Our city, without a doubt, is in the midst of a housing crisis. Every affordable unit that we build puts another individual, another family in a home that they can thrive in. This part of my district has not seen much housing growth in recent years, and a need for affordable housing is evident. Replacing uses like parking lots and fast foods with new apartment buildings with ground floor retail requires affordable housing through MIH seems like a clear win for the community. However, I do have broader concerns about planning and future development for this area. While this proposal is just for one portion of one block, it has become clear that Coney Island Avenue corridor needs a comprehensive approach to shape the future development. The current zoning has not been updated for decades and fosters a landscape of self-storage, gas stations, and fast foods, creating a street that divides neighbors and endanger pedestrians. If the status quo continues, more individual properties like this one will continue to come forward with project-by-project rezoning that are disconnected from wider city planning for affordable housing, street safety, infrastructure, and economic development. We need a comprehensive community-led approach to the future of Coney Island Avenue. I would like to thank Community Board 12, the Board President, City Planning Commission, and my colleagues on the Zoning Subcommittee in the Council for the thoughtful evaluation of this proposal. I look forward to hearing from my constituents and the public at today's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Joseph. Council, please call the first panel for this item.
The first council consists of Eric Palatnik and Earl Chester.
No, Bishop
No?
Taylor.
Please excuse me. of Bishop Mitchell Taylor.
Thank you very much.
Council, please administer affirmation.
Please raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Eric Palatnik.
Mitchell Taylor.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before the subcommittee and in your answers to all council member questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please see an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, before you begin, just state your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Sure. My name is Eric Palatnik, and I'm representing Eric Palatnik PC and representing 534 Coney Island Avenue. Before I begin, I would just like to commend the council on your leadership New York City is seeing days that I don't think we've ever seen before, and we greatly applaud you for stepping out and being the leaders that you all are in all issues of the day. And on leadership, I'd like to thank Council Member Rita Joseph. The presentation she just made is the culmination of the land use process the way it's supposed to work, I believe. It was a collaborative process. There was communication from the beginning. There was concerns raised and concerns discussed in a cordial, reasonable atmosphere that resulted in something I think that everybody appears to be satisfied with. And I give her hats off for that and for giving us the opportunity to reach out to neighbors and community members, which is what ended up happening. The application that you see in front of you is for the building that you started with, the building that you see right there. But I will ask the gentleman controlling the screen to click to the next screen and show you where it ended up. Do I control this clicker or does he? Next. There you go. Thank you. I forget sometimes. I could stop right here, and this is basically the essence of what we did with this application. You can't really probably read the slide behind me, but the right side of the slide is where we ended up. We had proposed an R7X zoning district, which is what we are seeking here today, to go from a C8 to an R7X. We'd originally proposed an 11-story building. When it was reviewed by the community, they raised issues with respect to the height of the building being a little bit too tall. And Councilmember Joseph and the community and Bishop Taylor sat down in a room and worked out a compromise, we believe, where we, instead of making it the building you saw at the beginning that had high setbacks and a little bit of a more playful design, we squared it off. And that was the trade-off. We didn't lose any affordable units. We still have 11 permanently affordable units, which is what we had been proposing the whole time. We dropped the total number of units by 1 from 43 to 42, and we maintained everything else the same. So the application, in its essence, if you can go to the next slide, please, is a request to change from an R7, from a CA2 district to an R7X zoning district. That's essentially our presentation. I'll click to the next slide. I don't want to waste too much of your day because the council member, I think, said it all. Go to the next slide. If you can go one more, I think, would be the one with the picture I'm looking for. Next slide, please. This. This is what we're asking you to act on. I showed you what the building looks like. I told you how tall we're making it, and this is the property. And this is something I think that's to be commended for all of you. What the council member spoke to a moment ago is accurate. Coney Island Avenue was created as the arse end of Ocean Parkway, meaning that it serves the automobile. It was created by Robert Moses. What the council member just described is an odd juxtaposition of uses that line Coney Island Avenue, from lumber yards to car dealerships to houses with car automobile repair in them. The council member was at the meeting with us for dinner that night. I don't know if you recall. Right next door is an apartment building that had auto repair on the ground floor. It's a little weird, and it's weird because the zoning is outdated. So the request that we're making of R7X fits within the R7 districts that surround us. We believe fits within the height of what's surrounding us. You can see next to us is the public school. We're analogous to that building. We're about 10 feet taller than that, and we're analogous to the buildings across the street that have no affordable housing whatsoever. And this development will be creating affordable housing, and not much affordable housing has been created in this district. So thank you very much. I will add one more thing. The council member has spoken to us about her desire to see educational uses within the building, and we are endeavoring to try to locate a daycare at the ground floor. There is a commercial space of about 5,000 square feet. It would be very suitable for daycare, and we think appropriate given its location across from the school, and much better than the Kentucky Fried Chicken that's on the property right now. I'd be remiss to fail to add that. And thank you very much for your time. I hope I answered all your questions ahead of time.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you, Bishop Taylor. Thank you for the presentation. Going to ask a few questions.
Sure.
Then going to turn it over to Councilmember Joseph. If we could go back to that last slide real quick. So you said right next door is the school, correct?
Correct.
What is that, elementary
PS
school?
8, 8, and 9 elementary.
What is that,
school.
elementary?
It's elementary. It's an elementary and a middle school.
All right, elementary and middle school. How many units is this site going to propose?
The proposed total units are, as altered, are 42.
42, okay. The proposal will currently allow either MIH option 1, 25% and an average of 60% AMI with 10% required at 40% AMI, or option 2, 30% at 80% AMI. MIH option 1 is reflected in your presentation of affordability, correct?
Correct.
Can you affirm your commitment to that?
We are committed to option level 1, and we have discussed that with the council member.
All right, good. Will you be partnering with local organizations as the administering agent for the affordable housing?
Yes, we will be. We're looking for one maybe that the council member might be aware of. Also, with respect to local organizations, we've set up nice relations with a number of different businesses in the area, and we will be trying to utilize local labor when we construct the building. We've had meetings with the borough president with respect to that, and we're going to try to use locally sourced labor and locally sourced materials to the extent that we can.
Perfect. And going into that, what are your outreach strategies to ensure local hiring opportunities and MWBE participation?
I'm going to let Bishop Taylor speak to that. He's been doing a lot of the outreach.
So we've been organizing all the social networks and the nonprofits in the area to plug them into the project. It's a small project, but as small as it may be, there'll still be some opportunities. There'll still be some permanent jobs that'll result from the project. And so people are excited to see the composition of the property change to something that will be more contributive to the neighborhood. So I feel confident that we have, we visited all the schools in the neighborhood. We've even gone to the shelters. We've gone to COPA, who is not too far from this particular project, other nonprofits, and we've had people on the ground just talking to folks and organizing thoughts and ideas, and that culminated in a final meeting a few weeks ago with the neighborhood. Some that were originally against the project and some that were for the project, but when we left that room that night, it felt like, we all understood, the composition of the project, the compromise that was made to get the project to this place and what it will contribute going forward. So,
What is currently at that projected area right now?
so Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That's a large Kentucky Fried Chicken.
There's two. Let me clarify for you. The site the portion that's in red is our site. The block front is being rezoned. To the left of us is a Shell automotive service station. That's not owned by us. That's separate and apart from us. So it's the gas station. It's the Kentucky Fried Chicken that we control, and that's what's that we're proposing the building on. But the whole property, the whole block front, is within the rezoning area.
Okay, now going into that is where I wanted to go into next. Councilmember Joseph brought up a very important point, and you two are great for this, so I know I'm not, talking on deaf ears. In order for a community to believe in projects like this, they want to be able to reimagine that location and how we're kind of making sure that the community is, moving forward. Being that there's a beautiful school there, we're going to add more density within the location. I know you guys will work closely with the council member, the community board will kind of uplifting them and help them out throughout this process, because I know that area hasn't seen any change in so long, and you can reimagine that area to kind of produce more projects like this, especially with people like you. So thank you so much for this. I know Councilmember Joseph is going to go into some questions, but I just want to ensure that you guys don't leave her hanging after this project and you continue to have these conversations in the area.
No, and I'll let her echo what I'm about to say. Is we actually spoke after this about trying to find other opportunities that might even provide for greater breadth of affordability in a proper location, and we've committed to her that we will try to communicate with people that we operate within the business world to maybe find a suitable site within her district that might be something that could be mutually beneficial for the city and for her district.
Thank you. Councilmember Joseph?
Yeah, that's why I'm also calling on the city planning to also have a neighborhood comprehensive plan along Coney Island Avenue that hasn't seen rezoning in decades, and I've said that in my statement. So my question is, I know this was through community engagement. Does the proposed parking space, which are currently required by zoning, reduced to the overall? Can you talk about parking?
Yeah, there's 19 parking spaces which are required by zoning. As we had spoken about, and as your board or council obviously knows, there's a proposal out there to do away with parking in many districts around the city. We would anticipate that by the time this project started to get going, that maybe that would be on the books at that point, and then that rule would no longer be applicable. So we did not understand that the strongness of the desire to not have parking. We do not need parking in the building for our personal desires, but it is in there to satisfy zoning, and we will work with you as we develop the building. If there's a way to eliminate the parking to put it to better use, we'd be happy to do that.
And I think that was one of the things the community stressed, the need for parking, because that area does not have any parking. So that was one of the needs. So that's something we should still keep on the table to negotiate on, having parking. So if you do not have the parking, does that increase the amount of units we would have?
No, the parking doesn't change. It would be down at the cellar level, and that's something that, I misread your question a moment ago. If you would like parking, we can keep it. We're not anxious to have the parking. It's not, the reason parking is, as you all know, being done away with, it's not an income generator, and it's very expensive to build it. So if we could put it to other uses, such as daycare or other kinds of uses, we'd be happy to do so. But if you would decide that the parking is needed, we'll be working alongside you as we've committed to, and we'll come to a mutually
Thank
agreeable
you.
stance.
Other than daycare, what type of business do you anticipate to take advantage of the ground floor retail space? Have you thought about that?
We don't know.
But we are talking daycare because I do see, as an education chair, I do see having an early childhood center that would be the pipeline to the school right around the corner, which is also an elementary and a middle school together, and it's a brand new building. Is there any possibility to include how about a community center? That was one of the things I talked about. And also one of the things my community talked about is maybe a supermarket. Then we can talk about that because my students from PS 39 came here to City Hall to tell me when they walk around the district, all they see is delis. And they would like to see fresh fruits and vegetables, and it's a working community over there with families.
Well, there's very good point. There's 5,000 square feet of community space there now. So if we look at, daycare and maybe a portion of it could be for some community use, I think that's definitely a possibility. But I think that the greater opportunity is with the other properties in your council district that Eric is working with and we're working with, where we can probably find more opportunity to expand on some of these ideas that you have. And we're committed to do that.
Thank you, because I don't want it to be a pocket of projects here and there. I want to rezone and really reimagine that area for future, for working families, to keep my families in that area.
Absolutely.
Thank you. If the council were to disapprove this application or make changes that the applicant wouldn't consider, what would happen to the site?
The lease is running out on the Kentucky Fried Chicken, so it would either be leased out to another drive-through operator, probably, most likely, or the underlying user is a gas station family, even though they don't own, this site is not a gas station, so it would maybe some other type of automotive use. But really, that's nobody's intention. They're very eager to go residential here.
And what are your thoughts about a more comprehensive plan for Coney Island Avenue corridor?
I'm the biggest fan of that. I just said that a moment ago. I've been studying this since I'm a little kid. I'm the son of a salesman who I used to drive with my father up and down all the blocks in New York City. And I'd always say to him when I'd come home, how come this block looks like that and that block looks so good? And I was specifically talking about Coney Island Avenue and Ocean Parkway. He sold a lot of people, a lot of businesses, and I'd be on that block. Coney Island Avenue, in my opinion, is a beautiful people living on the block, but the block itself, from a planning perspective, is disgrace. I think that as you drive down it, you could see cars littering it with auto body parts on the block. I think the auto body shops actually use the block. It reminds me of Bruckner Boulevard years ago before they rezoned Bruckner. It really does need the attention you're calling for, and I thank you very much for calling it out.
Thank you. And we have to also reimagine street safety over there. There's a huge corridor on Coney Island in Beverly, and I'm always over there. It's a little death trap. We want to also make sure we're investing in infrastructure as well as we build. We build, but we forget about infrastructure. So that's something we can work on as well. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Riley.
Thank you, Councilmember Joseph. What transportation options are nearby?
I have to look because there's not that much as buses.
Yeah.
It's buses. Train. There's not that many trains. I think what is it? The D train is the nearest train.
There's a Q. There's a Q on Cortelyou Road. There's the F on McDonald Avenue.
Yes.
There's the B68. There's the B16. There's the B35. I grew up in the area, so.
It's a lot of buses.
All right, thank you. Do we have any council members with questions? Chair Lewis?
Thank you, Chair. I just have a quick question about parking. Good to see you guys. Thank you for
Good
coming
morning.
today.
Morning.
I just have a quick question. So it's currently a drive-through for the
Yes.
KFC. Is there parking spaces for the drive-through?
Oh yeah, there are plenty right now. The way it's operating, yes, there's more than enough.
So the whole project would take over the whole space.
Yes, the KFC would be knocked down and the building would be built where the KFC is.
So what's the possibility of the cellar becoming somewhat of a parking lot?
Well, right now it's shown, and that was the discussion the council member and I were just having. Right now it's shown as parking right now. And the community expressed some concerns to keep the parking, but then there's other discussions that we've all been having. So we're sort of in the middle of it. We agreed to keep communicating as the zoning text takes shape and as it moves through the city council, and to see what the council member is communicating with her constituents, and then we will decide based upon what we come to a conclusion at that point.
All right, I think that's imperative because we have our districts are close to one another, so I support anything that the council member wants to do, but I think that's really important, especially there's no parking on Coney Island Avenue. Last question regarding the daycare, do you think there'll currently be a play area space for recreation? Because if you're going to put the daycare there, wouldn't you need recreation space for the kids?
Yeah, so, whatever space is dedicated to daycare, we'll make sure that it's outfitted with all the appropriate play areas and rest areas and feeding areas and napping areas, that's going to be a part. And then the other thing that we're looking at, we're definitely looking at a minority operator, not a big box operator.
Right.
So we're trying to create opportunities as well.
Is there a backyard?
No.
Would there be a backyard
No.
space?
No, if the question is will there be any outdoor space? No, there's no outdoor space proposed on the building except for maybe some rooftop recreation space, but that won't be made available to students of the daycare. But they will be, like most other daycares, they go out and use public parks and things of the like.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There being no further questions, this applicant panel is excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on 534 Coney Island Avenue rezoning proposal, remotely or in person?
Yes, Chair Riley, there are approximately 6 public witnesses who have signed up to speak remotely. For members of the public here to testify, please note that the witnesses will generally be called in panels of 3 or 4. If you are a member of the public signed up to testify on the proposal, please stand by when you hear your name being called and prepare to speak when the chair says that you may begin. Please also note that once all panelists in your group have completed the testimony, if remotely, you will be removed from the meeting as a group, and the next group of speakers will be introduced. Once removed, participants may continue to view the live stream broadcast of this hearing on the council website. We will now hear from the first panel.
Members of the public will be given 2 minutes to speak. Please do not begin until the Sergeant at Arms has started the clock.
And the first panel consists of, and I'm going to name all of them, but you will be called individually, Elizabeth Dennis, Vishnu Reddy, Will Fisher, Christian Scotty. Elizabeth Dennis, you may start.
Starting clock.
Hello, thank you so much for taking the time to give some testimony. I'm a nearby resident. My name is Elizabeth Dennis. I live at Church and Coney Island Avenue, just nearby, a couple minute walk from the site. It's a great neighborhood to live in, and it's a fantastic neighborhood to live in car-free in particular, like my family does. In this area, there's the B is a little bit over a 12-minute walk. The Q is really close by. The F is also a little bit over about a 15-minute walk from there, as well as all the buses listed. So I just wanted to note that this is a fantastic place to build more housing and not necessarily impact nearby roads. I also wanted to note that the park access is amazing. Prospect Park is so close and it's so wonderful. And I'm so grateful to get to live in this neighborhood. I also really wanted to thank Councilmember Joseph for noting the desire to have a comprehensive rezoning of Coney Island Avenue. I think it's really weird that we're able to build housing on the east side, but not the west side. And if you look at some of the developments on the east side, they're very, very, very congruous with this building on the east side. So I'm really, really excited about this project. I think it'll really help, especially given that there isn't been a lot of lower income housing, especially for families. And a lot of these units are on the larger size. Something I hear a lot when I talk to my neighbors that they're really feeling the pinch in our housing crisis and wanting to stay in this area. I also wanted to note that in addition to a resident nearby, I am an Open New York member leader, and we've been collecting signatures in support of this project. And we have over 125 signatures asking for this project to be built because it is very badly needed housing. As mentioned, this is where a place we need a lot more housing, but in the Community Board 12 confines in particular, there's only been 53 new units in the last 5-some years that are MIH housing, and these MIH option 1 units would add another 11, and that would be absolutely fantastic to really helping our lower income neighbors get to stay in this beautiful community that I and they call home. So thank you so much for the time, and I really hope that this project gets approved.
Thank you. The next speaker is Vishnu Reddy.
Starting time.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vishnu. I'm a resident of Brooklyn and a member of Open New York, and I'm here to express my support for the rezoning at 534 Coney Island Avenue. Our city has a dire shortage of homes, and projects like this are needed to be approved all over the city, and we need City Council to treat the housing affordability issue with urgency. And that includes approving new homes like this one without delays or roadblocks. This project has a clear benefit to the community. With the rents increasing drastically over the past decade, this area has lost many naturally occurring affordable homes, and people are struggling to afford to live here. These new homes, especially the 11 MIH units proposed, would help restore some of those affordable homes that have been lost. Community District 12 only has 53 MIH units, and this project is an opportunity to increase that by more than 20%. Not only will we get more homes with this project, but we will get clear benefits to the public realm. The current use of the site as a drive-through fast food restaurant is detrimental to the public realm, and it would be great to see that site be used for something that better contributes to the community. I also wanted to express my appreciation to Councilmember Joseph for supporting a more comprehensive look at the corridor, which is much needed and will make much needed homes while making the corridor more pleasant and livable. That is my comment, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Will Fisher.
Starting time.
Hi. Good morning, Chair Riley, Member Joseph, and members of the committee. I'm getting some, sorry. Sorry, is there?
You may start your testimony, but you are choppy. If you can, you can still speak now, but you can also submit your testimony in writing afterwards at the email address.
Is that working a little bit better now?
Yes, it is.
Great. All right, apologies for that. Good morning, Chair Riley, Councilmember Joseph, members of the committee. I am a rent-stabilized tenant living just a couple of blocks from the site and also a member of Open New York, and very, very excited to support this application at 534 Coney Island Avenue. Thank you to Councilmember Joseph for your leadership on this and pushing this forward. Brooklyn Community District 12 has the same population as all of Salt Lake City, but like Liz said just a few moments ago, it's produced only a couple dozen units of affordable housing through MIH. This is really an indictment of how difficult it is to produce new housing, even with a very progressive city affordable housing program like MIH. I really appreciate the progress this application has made and the hard work that everybody's put into it, and also agree with my neighbor's calls for a corridor-wide assessment of Coney Island Avenue. These 11 units are a fantastic start, and again, I thank everybody for their support, but we do need to create thousands and thousands of units like this to ensure that our neighbors can stay in their homes and grow their families comfortably. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Christian Scotty. Scotty. Sorry for mispronouncing.
Excuse me, Scotta, but thank you very much.
My apologies.
I appreciate you letting me speak today. I live nearby, and as my waistline attests, I've eaten at that KFC many, many times, but I would happily sacrifice my fried chicken if it meant new housing in the neighborhood. I've lived in the neighborhood for 12 years. My rents have more than doubled in that time, And I don't want to be priced out, and I don't want it to be a neighborhood where only the wealthy can live. I think that it's a vibrant, diverse neighborhood, and that's one of the things that I value. And the only way for that to continue to be the case is for us to build more housing so that more people can afford to live here. I'll second, I'm also a member of Open New York, and I'll second what other folks have said, that working on rezoning for that area is so important and so vital, and I thank you to everyone who's worked on it. I'm definitely for the proposal and excited to see more housing. Thank you.
Thank you. We just need a minute to determine whether there are further online participants. There are no further online participants, Chair Riley, and I don't believe there are any in-person individuals to testify. Therefore, there are no other people to testify.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any council members with questions for this panel?
No.
There being no other members of the public who wish to testify on this pre-considered LU related to the 534 Coney Island Avenue rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. Before we go into the next hearing, I would like to open up the vote. We've been joined by Councilmember Hanks remotely and Councilmember Botcher.
Councilmember Botcher, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanks, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you both. The vote is now closed, and the vote is in the affirmative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you, Council. Hold on. Thank you, Council. I will now open the public hearing on pre-considered LU related to the Belmont Osborne Avenue rezoning proposal in Councilmember Mealy's district in Brooklyn. This is a proposal to develop 2 7-story mixed-use buildings with approximately 200 apartments and ground floor retail in Brownsville. This rezoning will upzone the existing R6 residential district to an R7A and modify the existing C4-3 commercial overlay to a C2-4. This rezoning will involve mapping mandatory inclusionary housing over the rezoned area. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit written testimony, you can always do so by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov.
Charles Al-Wakil.
Council, please call the first panel for this item.
Thank you, Chair. The first panel consists of Howard Goldman, Kimberly Headley, and Charles Al-Wakil.
Council, please administer the affirmation.
Please raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Kimberly Headley.
Howard Goldman.
Charles Al-Wakil.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before the subcommittee and in your answers to all council member questions?
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. Panelists, before you begin, please just state your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Thank you, Chairman Riley. My name is Kimberly Headley. I'm representing the owner for Osborne Belmont Properties, LLC. And I'm also a member of his consulting team, Strong Power Consulting. Next slide. The development team consists of the owner, Russell Fideli. The owner's representative for strategic planning is myself, Kimberly Headley DaCosta Headley. The architect is Charles Al-Wakil from Red Flux, and the land use council is Goldman Harris. Mr. Goldman sitting to my left, and Diane Leibs. Next slide. The project overview is 2 proposed buildings across the street, 110 units per building, 220 units in total, 4.6 FAR per building, 17,000 square feet of retail space per building, and 38,000 of retail space total. And our goal is to have 100% affordability. And I just want to say on behalf of the owner, as his representative, that for over 47 years, the People's Choice Supermarket has been in existence and has serviced thousands of people in its 47 years. Understanding that Brownsville is a place that is often categorized and as underrepresented, underserved, and underprivileged, we know that Brownsville is a place where revitalization, restoration, and resurgence of economic empowerment is the reason why so much building is happening in Brownsville right now. We're thankful to be able to see the leadership of Councilmember Mealy, who has been an advocate for affordable housing in Brownsville. So understanding the Brownsville's Community Needs Assessment Plan, emphasizing affordable housing as one of the major areas of improvement that needs to exist, the owner of the People's Choice Supermarket had a vision to build 220 units of affordable housing for the residents who want to live in Brownsville and continue to grow their families there and to keep money flowing in Brownsville. Understanding the providing employment for the Brownsville community, we are partnering with the Central Brooklyn EDC to provide temporary and construction jobs, permanent jobs after the project is done if approved, to foster a spirit of collaboration in Brownsville. The Central Brooklyn EDC has submitted to us a letter of support. We are planning to work with them for minority, women-owned business enterprises to have job training, vetting for those who would be interested in living in these units. And we also had support from the Borough President's Office. We also had support, of course, from the Community Board. Osborne Belmont Properties is one of the largest housing development sites in Brooklyn. The land that is being offered for construction has an has an access point for folks to live in much larger units if this project is built. And we're here to say that the residents of Brownsville deserve the best. And a community that has been labeled by its housing density and several public housing units surrounding this proposed project. It is clear that interested parties to see the investment in Brownsville must move beyond a place of just having shelters. While it's very much needed, there are plenty of families who live in public housing that want more space. We have vetted the community. We've talked with leaders, clergy leaders. We've talked with school leaders. We've talked with all those who live in Brownsville, and their desire is to see much more opportunity for extremely low income, extremely low housing designed and constructed in Brownsville. So it is our goal to see this particular project go through the rezoning process and hopefully pass. It is named in honor of Jeanette Gadsden, who was a resident, community leader, someone who believed in working with seniors, youth, and again, just building up the uplifting of Brownsville and making sure that those who live there, who grow their families there, can continue to remain there. We are here to work with the council member, whatever capacity she asks us to, and we're hoping that we can see something different come out of Brownsville. It is a dream of many who live in Brownsville to see that kind of project come about. Howard Goldman will now talk us through the steps of the ULURP process, and then after which Charles Alwakil will go through the actual project itself.
Howard Goldman, I'm the Zoning and Land Use Counsel. My firm is Goldman Harris, LLC. Next slide, please. Next. The Community Board has voted in favor of the project, recommended. The Borough President has recommended approval. The City Planning Commission has approved the project, and here we are. Next slide, please. The actions that we're here for are a rezoning as well as a MIH mapping action. The zoning change, next slide, please. The zoning change is from R6 to R7A, And the commercial overlay will remain pretty much the same. It's currently a C13. It's going to go to C24. They're very similar. And then there's a small portion which is C43, which is being rezoned to the R7A. C43 is the same FAR as R6. Next slide. So the details are the existing FAR for residential is 2.43. It would increase to 4.6 with MIH. Community facility would actually be reduced from current 4.8 to 4.0, and the commercial FAR would remain at 2 FAR, except the C43 would be actually reduced from 3.4 to 2.0. Under the current zoning, there's no height limit. It's a sky exposure plane project, sky exposure plane regulations. Under the proposed zoning, there's a maximum of 95 feet building height, 9 stories, but this project is proposed at 75 feet and 7 stories, so it's substantially below what would be permitted. Next slide. Okay. Without getting into too much detail, there's a solid land use rationale for the rezoning. This is currently 1961 zoning, has not been changed since then. The project is located at the crossroads of 4 major commercial and vehicular corridors. The project is within a transit zone, which means it's served by bus, subway, and Long Island Railroad stops. The housing, let me say a word on the housing. We had initially filed the application as an MIH project with options 1 and 2. We got feedback from members of the community, from the council member, that it should be all affordable, 100%. And we have decided to go that route. So we have had 2 meetings with HPD so far, 1 meeting with the commissioner, a follow-up meeting with the staff, and at HPD's recommendation, we have retained an affordable housing consultant, a firm that HPD is comfortable with and likes to work with. And so we are pursuing the ELA program for the project to be 100% affordable. In terms of economic investment, this project will create ground floor retail space with larger floor plates than currently exist in the area, and it can accommodate community facility space. And as I mentioned, the buildings will be 7-story, 75 feet. This is actually smaller than 2 7-story hotels, which are located at the far end of the block and which I believe are used as shelters currently. Those hotels were built as of right under the C43 R6 equivalent zoning, which is what we have now, the R6. Next slide. Let me turn it over to Charles Alwakil, Red Flux Architects, to take you through the remaining slides.
Hi, so I'm just going to provide a brief project overview. Site location, we are located between Pitkin and Belmont with the connecting street on Osborne. There's also some frontage on Watkins. Next. And this just shows the NYCHA campuses in the vicinity. This is important because when it comes to building typology, this is something that we've kept in mind. Next slide. We've consider this and conceive of this thing as a sort of connector in terms of both building density, height, and the commercial context in the surrounding area between the north and the south of the surrounding area. The idea is that you have a highly commercial streets on Pitkin and Belmont, and this serves as a connector, which is currently also utilized for commercial uses. There's a supermarket there, some commercial buildings. There was a fish market at one point, other things like that. And this thing would just sort of connect there. Next, please. Existing conditions. So particularly important. One of the things that we're targeting here is having large commercial tenants on the ground floor. The reason that we're doing this is that we believe that there is a need for large commercial tenants in this neighborhood. The Dollar Tree that is to be part of the development site was specifically constructed by the current owner of the project for Dollar Tree because they could not find anything in the vicinity that provided 10,000 square feet of contiguous space. That bears out when we did the project description for the site and looked at all of the retail that was in the vicinity. Everything is small, 2,500, 5,000 square feet spaces. There are barely, if any, actually, 10,000 square foot plus spaces here. Those spaces are the ones that provide job stability. Those are the ones where large companies come in, take over, and those are not victims to the ebb and flow of the economy. They're just kind of more stable. And that's what we were trying to have here, and those in that ground floor. Next, please. So here's a site plan of what we're proposing. So these are 7-story buildings. We've tried to keep as low as possible in terms of the height because it also yields the most optimal plates, i.e. the larger plates. We're looking at 3 building segments. So the one that's on the Osborne and Belmont corner. And then the one that goes through Watkins over to Osborne. That is 2 building segments, one that fronts on Watkins, one that fronts on Osborne, both same height. What else do I have here? Next, please. Building massings, just showing how it fits into the adjacent context. Next. A preliminary rendering, just showing, again, context, not necessarily the finished product, but just how we would how this thing fits in the area. Again, next. And again, another one of these, again, just a preliminary massing, just showing, you can see the hotel slash shelter at the back, that checkered building that's existing. And we are looking at this as a predominantly non-residential ground floor with 6 stories above it, total 7 stories of fully affordable housing. Next. Any questions?
All right. Thank you to this panel for your presentation today. I have a couple of questions. I'm going to see if Councilmember Millie has any questions. Are you currently partnering with any local organizations as the administering agent for affordable housing?
We're working with the Forsyth Company through the ELA program with regards to the affordable housing and creating the highest level of affordability for the project.
But in answer to your question, that's to be determined.
Yeah.
Thank you. How did you decide on zoning a R7A district with a C23 overlay? Did you consider any other districts?
Yes.
Go ahead, Charles.
So a little bit of project history. So we initially came into the community board years ago and to the city council person at that time with an R7X district mapped in here. We went to DCP. We spoke about how it fit into the neighborhood. They believed that the density would have been too high and suggested that we go with an R7X/R7A. We proposed that. That got modified again to an R7A. R7A is where we landed. At one point, we looked at an R8A at the behest of the then sitting borough president. And again, DCP said that is too much density. We can't have that here. So we ended up in that kind of toned down version, which is the R7A. In the commercial district, we basically only require the cellar and the ground floor to be commercial here. Everything above is probably not going to generate a good foot traffic kind of setup where it becomes viable. The other thing is the way that zoning works, all of these things would have cannibalized units. Like you would have any more floor area than that first floor for residential. It's just going to eat into the unit count, which is not something we want to do. We want to provide more affordable units.
Thank you. You're proposing about 17,000 square feet of retail space in both buildings.
So that is an outdated slide. Right now, we are proposing close to 40,000 total.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So is that 20 in each building?
Yep, roughly so.
That's large. Okay. What kind of business? I mean, you spoke about large commercial tenants. I just want you to kind of explain that a little bit more. Are there any community facilities such as medical offices within the facility of this community, or childcare facilities within the facility of this community? Are you guys thinking of? I see that there's a supermarket there.
Yes.
Is there a possibility of expanding this supermarket into the business? Like, what are your ideas of large commercial tenants?
So while we haven't
Speaking to the mic.
Sorry. So while it is extremely early to be signing on tenants, we have spoken with our partner developer, and the partner developer has this idea that there could be a daycare and there could also be a supermarket there, and the Dollar Tree could be relocated to one of the buildings.
What is the community board saying?
I don't believe we've. Have you?
They were in support of whatever they would. If we put a daycare center, they would be in support. If we put a supermarket, so they just want there to be a good use of the space, so that it creates jobs. But whatever we want to do, we're here to work with the council member, and whatever she proposes or whatever she believes should be in that space, we're prepared to work with. But
What is the space currently used for right now?
So right now I'm going to run through the site of what specifically is there. So right now there's a small set of commercial buildings where the tenants are on month-to-month leases, and they know that they are on a discount lease structure. There's only one left right now? Okay, so there's one tenant on a small 20 by 100 space.
And what's happening in front of that location right now? Like, tell me the type of, is it public safety issues happening there?
So it's a highly trafficked commercial street. I don't think that there's a negative in terms of the context. It's just a highly foot traffic, nice Belmont commercial street.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a sense of the area.
No, of course.
Okay.
Of course, and I'm happy to provide and help with that. There's also a supermarket run by the project owner. There is a warehouse on the Osborne site, currently not being used. What else do we have?
Dollar Tree.
And the Dollar Tree, yes.
Okay. Have you had any discussion with other property owners within the rezoning area?
no.
No.
No?
It's mostly predominantly property owned by the applicant
Yeah.
on both sides.
Predominantly. There's a very small set of sites that are also affected, but it's tiny.
There's a church right next door, but it's not a part of the proposed zoning application. And then there are a couple of residents, like multiple family dwelling units, like right next door to the People's Choice Supermarket.
Are there residential homes located behind this property?
Yes, but they're not part of the development site.
Oh, I know. I'm just asking. Okay. Are they aware of this project?
Yes.
Yes. What has their input been?
They're for it, as long as it doesn't encumber, their property lines or anything like that. But the owner has been talking with residents, the neighbors, so, yeah.
It's also worth noting that the owner has been there for 40 years, and he knows everybody.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Councilman Millie?
Thank you for this opportunity. I haven't met with y'all really at all. And you say, like as before, you said it was a fish market there. When was your last environmental?
Say that again?
Environmental.
Oh, the environmental,
Study.
The study? When
Yeah.
did we carry it out? We carried out for the submission for this, so
It-
it was finalized this year.
Because
Yeah.
you know, like you said, it was fish. At one point on Belmont Avenue, you could smell it like 4 miles away
Oh.
before it came, before you got to Belmont.
It's close
I guess it
now.
was Slavin,
Yeah.
Fish Market. I don't know what they were doing, but it devastated the community for years.
Oh, God.
And I appreciate the owner he took it over, and I don't know. The smell, you don't smell it as bad at all, so that's a good thing. So what environmental? You're going to be changing the whole zoning now. So what environmental have you done
Well,
recently?
the project is subject to seeker.
I know I tried to look at it. It was 200 pages, and I couldn't get to it. So I know I have to do that again.
I understand.
And one thing I know, it has to have environmental,
course, yes.
real study on that.
And it received a negative declaration,
And I know why.
and it couldn't be certified until that occurred.
And one thing you said that as of right, you could go up. So why do you need a zoning change?
Because the floor area that we are permitted is less than what would be permitted now, but the height is higher.
But
Right now.
you just said that you didn't need to go up 9 stories. You're only going to do 7
So
stories.
can I go into specific detail on that?
That's why we here.
Okay, so let's roll. I like this. The way that we plan out a building, we think about things as like efficiency. The amount of area that you devote to a corridor or you devote to an elevator. Those things are not units. They're things that you really don't rent. So when you're trying to max out the use of a building, you don't necessarily want to go as high as possible and spend floor
So
area.
why do you
on those
need
things.
the zoning
So
change?
the zoning change
Because
allows.
as of right, the R6, you can
So
do
this-
as much as you want.
So this R6 allows for 2.43 FAR, as opposed to this one, which would allow for 4.6. So the floor area per se would be increased, but how should I put this? If we wanted to
So
build,
you saying it'd be 8 instead of 80 apartments, you could do 100.
so instead of 110 apartments per building, we could do half of that effectively without the rezoning. But we could go as high as much as we wanted to, which would be kind of the optimal setup. And then that kind of biases a certain type of construction. But that's not what we want to do. We want more units and we want a shorter building and a building that's more efficient as well.
It's still, all right, forget
Does that-
about that.
I'm happy to
So
do
you
this
say
one.
it's 100% affordable?
Yes.
Do you have that in writing?
Yes, we have all of our
With
calculations.
HBD, with the Ella project?
Yes, we've begun.
As
Because what I read, it was,
Yes.
you was doing the R7, it could go to 9 stories. You wanted 9 stories, and now I'm here today, you saying y'all going with the Ella project
Yes,
for 7 stories.
yes.
And that's documented for sure.
All of our
And HBD is gonna give you the funding for the Ella project.
Well, HPD can't commit until they've done their full review and, vetted it and negotiated. But we
So-
met with the commissioner, we met with the staff. They said,
They
use the
said-
ELA program, and we are doing so. We've hired a consultant, and they're busily preparing the ELA application.
and the,
So if we give you this zoning now, change, if you do not get the funding, what is your recourse? The Ella, you could go market rate, right?
only partly so, because this is what the
Tell me
rezoning does.
how.
It would have to be MIH. As the project before us, there would be a requirement for MIH 25 or 30%.
Yes.
That's the minimum.
Which one would you do, 1 or 2?
I
'Cause
think,
one of them is 25% to 40, I think, and then the 2 is 30 to 80%. Do you believe that that the 30 and 80% is really feasible for this area?
I think option one, I would recommend that be the preference, but the approval typically says option one or option two, and that's a decision that would have to be made.
So I'm just wondering why you hear now, do you have the funding in place already?
So the HPD approval won't even be looked at without a zoning change. They will not spend the time on us and the approval unless we are actually on the road to constructing this thing.
Okay. The affordability is a key concern for me.
Yes.
And especially in this area. You proposing 100% affordable housing, but have not provided any information about the AMI on these the apartments levels or the units. I have asked numerous times, what is the breakdown of the apartments? Will there be one bedroom apartment, 2, 3 studios? I never received that as of yet.
So
And you went to the
I'm sorry.
community board and without, I guess my community have to really start checking the online process. They voted on it at the community board. And when I went to city planning, they said it was 26-0. Approved this project, right?
That's what the community board resolution said.
Right. And then when I went back, city planning had emergency meeting to rectify that.
Yes.
Why do you think that happened? I saw it vaguely. It was 26% that y'all said that everyone approved of this project.
So as soon as we received that letter, we emailed the community board and said that this doesn't match up with the records.
Right.
We were at that meeting and there were people that voted
Right.
against it and for it. We were approved, but we emailed it as
Yeah.
soon as that happened.
Because a lot of other people have issues with this project just as well. And I see a lot of people that I know said they are for this project. And I talk to them and they say something different in your proposal. So I just hope that going forward, you really try to get things straight. And I really still do not see where the affordability is going to come in for the higher density with 7 stories. Only the way I see y'all really doing anything is with the 9 stories
No,
that in which you can do right now without the zoning change.
Wait, can I go into details again on that? So the floor area that's currently permitted, the floor area ratio is 2.43, right? So that means that is half, or like a little bit more than half of what we're asking for. Okay? If under the current zoning, our building would have a different shape that would be much taller, but it would have much fewer units. Okay?
It would be skinnier.
It would be skinnier, taller, and likely not affordable. Because
Well, could you do one building of that R7 and have the other one stay R6? Because one of them is big enough for proper housing.
But then, no, neither of the two would be. It would be a 2.40. It would be half the size of either building, and then we would end up having also a much smaller floor plate throughout the entirety of the buildings, which makes it taller and skinnier, which in turn makes it likely.
How many square feet this is?
So the first.
You saying it's going to be skinny?
It would be skinny. So right now we're looking at about, I think. Let me find my notes.
Chair, I'll be finished in a minute.
So one of the buildings is roughly 137 gross square feet. Sorry, 137,000 gross square feet. The other one is proposed at 136.4 thousand gross square feet. Those floor areas would effectively be a little bit, it'll be almost halved, okay? So we would be looking roughly at what? 70,000 square feet on each, again, estimate. So 70,000 square feet would cut the units, the proposed unit count in half for the entire site. Now, at that point, also, the other thing that it does is that the current zoning encourages you to have a small plate that's set away from the street that is, again, small plate, tall. And what that really, really encourages you to do is not to do affordable and either do something that has a small lease span, so like a hotel or a shelter, or condominiums that are relatively higher
Why
end.
not condominiums?
Why not condominiums? Because we would do half of the units, though.
But if you sell them, you could get a better Because people need home ownership in Brownsville just as well. We're here to communicate. Because this is not
they
done,
wouldn't be
the funding is
affordable.
really not in,
But they wouldn't be affordable. They would be high-end condominiums, not for the community. It would be for people that come from elsewhere.
why would you say that?
Because-
You feel no one in Brownsville could
Oh no,
afford?
I lived 15 minutes away up until a month ago. So
But you left, okay. But I'm just asking you, is that an option? We're here to talk.
of course.
You never know.
So
If this, because you have all the funding in place, and you say HBD may give you the funding for Ella, that it could be 100% affordable. Maybe. That's not definite. But if we pass the zoning, and if you do not get the Ella funding, this could go market rate, period.
Except for the MIH
Except
council member.
25%.
Or 30, yeah.
25%. But everything else could go market rate.
Yes, just like the project that went
And then
before
it's
us.
like city planning said, we want to make sure that if we do rezone this, that it doesn't stay just sitting there for 10 or 15 years if you don't get the
course.
funding in place. And that can happen, can it not? If the
Any-
funding is not in place.
Yes, anything is possible.
But it's more likely because it's not all set in stone as of yet, or nowhere near.
It's chicken and egg. HPD won't
okay.
commit until we have the zoning. So, and I understand that the council is concerned about the HPD commitment before they approve the zoning. It's a
Yeah, because
chicken
we're
and egg.
giving away the whole kitchen sink if we just go ahead and pass the zoning without having certain things in place that for sure it's going to be affordable.
Yes.
Because that district needs affordability, period. In the highest density of city housing. So if our constituents could get a break and have affordable housing, I want that. I don't want to just give it away because this may be the last time we have an opportunity to do affordable, good housing.
Yes.
So therefore, I am going to be really on top of this, that if this go through, it has to be affordability. And you said that you have 40,000 square feet of commercial space, and it is commercial businesses right there, small business owners. What plans do you have for them? You just going to displace them?
So the only current tenant right now is.
No, it's a
can I
couple of
go through them? Sorry, my apologies. I think that was rude. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Go ahead.
So there's a Dollar Tree, which we would hope to relocate.
That's his.
There's also the small tenant in what's it called, at a discounted rate that has been there only recently. I mean, that one would be displaced,
And the People's Choice Supermarket.
which is the owner. Therefore, again, no displacement. And most importantly, this is a very special site. There's no residential units being displaced out of these. The project would
I
happen.
didn't
and
ask
be
you
nobody.
about residential. I said the
I know.
commercial people. So, how would this commercial, what anchor tenants would you put in the bottom floor? That it wouldn't hurt the small businesses all around Belmont Avenue. I have fabric stores there that are still there. They've been through the crack pandemic, they still there, and they're thriving. So now, if you get anchor tenants, that can drive all their business away. So what kind of anchor tenants will you have?
The Dollar Tree will be offering.
20,000 square feet of just Dollar Tree?
No, that's half of it. They will be
It's
offered
40 though.
the option to come back into either of the buildings, okay?
You never said that. Say that again louder,
They will
please.
be given the option, the choice of coming back into either of the buildings, or they can move into the first building that's constructed while the second building is constructed, and then move back if they want to.
Also, we also believe that there's going to be a positive impact for all those smaller commercial spaces. That is
Not
what we really want to be.
Can we talk about parking?
Yeah, most definitely.
Councilmember, I have one bit of good news, I think. We have a preliminary set of calculations on income and types of units, which is it's a work in progress, but we have a preliminary and initial calculation on
And
that.
I also want to apologize for the fact that we may have never sent you the units and or communicated them over to you.
That was almost 7 months ago.
We have had
And now you went straight to the community board without us really collaborating. So here we are. I'm trying to get everything now.
of course we have
So the parking, is park, that area is very challenging with parking. What would you do to help that?
Charles?
So our take has been that if this is fully affordable, we would not be providing parking. And the reason for that, and the reason that I want to actually explain this is, right now the cellar floor is programmed as accessory residential, i.e. mechanical, and commercial. Okay, so if we were to take that and provide parking there, the net effect would be this: we would be moving that mechanical space over to another part of to another portion of the building, i.e. above grade. And in order to recapture that space, i.e. we would be eating units, and we would be effectively, how should I put this? We would be having to build more facade, we would be having to build another floor, and we would be having to have less units overall. So that's what parking creates here. And that's just because of the relocation of mechanical uses from the cellar. So I think that when it comes down, or at least our value judgment has been, more important than parking is a family living up there. That's simple. You're taking your parking right now away, and you are allowing for another unit or two above, which is a net positive.
But I'm
Chair, I
sorry.
have one other question, and this is my last question. If this project does not go forward, what would you do with this parcel of land?
I don't think it's been determined yet.
We don't even know what would be economically feasible at this point with that, because it's a relatively low amount of floor area right now, and that's just, the site hasn't been developed in 40 years, and ever since the rezoning. That's the precedent is it stays underdeveloped.
Like a lot of stuff, because it's time to give real affordability to the people of Brownsville. And if it has to sit in order to let people stay here, because everywhere else people are just robbing and pilfering the community and building housing that no one in the area can afford. So I just want to make sure that we get this opportunity to try to work with you to make sure that our community can get this. And you got to be open to other avenues. If this does not go through, maybe you should think about home ownership, condominiums. People of Brownsville need that just as well. And I still say they do need parking just as well. When Niger now is selling off the parking lots and putting housing, our community is being devastated with tickets. It's almost against the law to not be able to drive a car because you're getting so many tickets and it's towed and you can't afford the car. So I'm just looking forward to the breakdown. Chair, could you request that I get a breakdown of the apartments, how many bedrooms, what the prices will be, if it's Ella or anything else. That's one thing I need to see, and I've been asking for it, and I haven't received it. So
I'm sorry,
thank
can I
you.
just say one more thing to the council member? Let me first apologize. We didn't want to give the impression that we are thinking that Brownsville only deserves this kind of property. As you stated, the viability of Brownsville is very strong. The money stays in the community. So we are prepared, if it goes through, that if there needs to be condos or some kind of option for people to begin to have home ownership in Brownsville, we are supportive of that. We're also supportive of some parking if there needs to be. As you stated, in that area, it is sometimes difficult, so we don't want to eliminate or presume that everybody wants no parking. While we understand the project has been built to have more space size, we also have to consider some families who do need cars and who need to park their vehicles. So we apologize. We're not in any way trying to make it seem like people in Brownsville cannot afford. We grew up there, we lived there, we shopped there, and everybody's coming to Browns because they understand that there is a diamond in the rough, if you would. So we just want to make that clear. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And I'm going to suggest a lot of things, actually. First and foremost, I suggest that you both connect immediately after this conversation today to get on the same page. It seems that you guys are more than willing to work with the council member, but it seems like the council member is not cognizant of a lot of the recent changes you have made within this area, being that the owner has owned this area for 40-something years and the council member has represented this community for many years as well. I think she has the knowledge to know what the community needs. So just if you guys could be on the same page and sit down and connect, and please keep my office and the land use team up to date in any way we could assist, we would definitely will. Chair Lewis, I know Chair Lewis has a question.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be quick. I was looking online and I saw possibly tenants Seatown, Dollar Tree, People's Choice, Elite Learners, and a clothing store. Are those?
Seatown
They're not there
is
anymore?
not in our
It's outside.
area.
Okay. So what's the discounted store or establishment on that block?
It's called People's, well, there's two. There's
Is that the People's Choice?
Supermarket, which is really, local needs.
Okay.
And then there's the Dollar Tree variety store.
All right, I was just checking to see if the Cure Violence site was still there, but it's not there. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, we would love to have the grocery market still there. That's important.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other members have questions? There being no members of the council have questions, these members of the, there being no other questions, this applicant panel is excused. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on the Belmont Osborne Avenue proposal remotely or in person?
Yes, Chair Riley, there are two people in person who would like to testify, but there is no one remotely who has requested to testify. For members of the public here to testify, please note that witnesses will generally be called in panels of 3. If you are a member of the public signed up to testify on the proposal, please stand by when you hear your name being called and prepare to speak when the chair says that you may begin. Please also note that once all panelists in your group have completed their testimony, if remotely, you will be removed from the meeting as a group, and the next group of speakers will be introduced. However, here there's no remote speakers. So the first panel consists of Earl Chester and Reverend Dr. Frank Mason. Could you please stand up and go to the table?
Members of the public will be given 2 minutes to speak. Please do not begin until the Sergeant at Arms has started the clock. We will first begin with Earl Chester.
Correct.
Just press the button. There you go.
Good morning. It's good to be here. I've been in. Did I turn it off?
No, it's on. It's on. You just have to move closer and talk more into the mic. There you go.
All right, this is my first time here, but it's very informative. And I'm certainly glad I was invited by my good friend, Dr. Headley. I'm a pastor in Brownsville community. Been there for about 24 years. And we're looking at some of the things that's taken place in Brooklyn for a long time, and we're getting familiar with the rezoning. Things usually happen sometimes before we even know it, and I want to know how, and this is a good step to let us know what is going to take place in our community so that we will have a voice to either accept it or reject it or go against it. And that's why I'm here today, because I see what's happening right where my church is on East 98th Street and Livonia Avenue. They have built buildings there that are supposed to be affordable, but we don't know whether they are affordable or not. And most of the time when I check, nobody is living in or have not moved in there, and this goes on for years. To me, it seemed like it's just a waste. If they would, I heard Councilmember Milley talked about if they were a condo instead of just what they say affordable, it would be even better, because I believe there's some people in my area that have money and they would love to afford a condominium. I worked a long time ago, and I've seen more than any of you have with the Nehemiah houses. Anybody remember? It did a tremendous, it was beautiful for the community. This was quite a while ago. And what it proved to be that people need to own something. Can I get a witness? I'm preaching. And when they own it, they take better care of it. So I wanted to know in my area, I'm going to get some information about the rezoning area, because I know right now I have a building that can be used in a more constructive way. And I'm going to be asking questions about what the future is. So I yield.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Reverend Dr. Frank Mason.
Good afternoon to Councilwoman Muley, to all of you here today. My name is Dr. Frank Mason. I'm the pastor of the Christ Temple United Baptist Church in Brooklyn, have been for 31 years. I'm here today to testify to the deep need for affordable housing. I was raised in Brownsville. I'm still there in the community every day. I hear stories about our seniors living in overcrowded households, crimes, and fears of their safety. So to see such a project come through our community that offers 100% affordability to our community, that is saturated with shelters and all types of things that's hindrance in our community. The people of Brownsville deserve better living conditions and housing and opportunities, because they keep this community economically viable. And to have this project on deck, we see employment opportunities generated for our local workforce, and we have a chance to see a new facelift for our beloved Brownsville. And each of us are in the position, each of you are in the position of power now to be able to help the future of Brownsville become more brighter and a more dynamic, have a more dynamic future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for this panel?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Just, I never met you before, but thank you.
I've met you before in different. You were just very busy lady, but you met me.
Okay.
You see me usually in the Senior Citizen Center.
Okay.
Right
good.
there in the Van Dyke projects.
Got you. So
Also-
you'll see me more now.
Also seen
right.
you
God
on
bless.
the boat outing that was last year.
Thank you.
Yes.
Looking forward to doing it again. And
Yes.
thank you,
Yes.
Pastor Chester. Thank you, Chair, for giving me the latitude of this.
Thank you. There being no questions, this panel is excused. Council, are there any more members of the public who wish to testify?
Yes, we have one more member of the public who wishes to testify, Russell Fries.
Russell, wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. I think we have another member here, so we'll just call you both at the same time.
Thank you for staying as long as you did.
Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry for that. Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on this next item?
Yes.
We have Russell, and we also have Gerald. Russell, Gerald, can we both have you up at the podium, please? Thank you. Okay. We will first start with Gerald. Gerald, you may begin as soon as the sergeant starts the clock.
Good morning.
It works.
First, I'd like to say I'm very pleased to be here. To have my esteemed councilwoman here, Darlene Mealy, who I work very close with. I'm Bishop Gerald Seaberg's church in Brooklyn. Work closely with veterans and the homeless and senior citizens, and we're 100% for affordable housing. But I think the problem that we're having is affordable to who? And so you have a title, but it's not clearly defined. And I'm here to speak for the homeless. I'm here to speak for those who are in poverty, those grandmothers who are raising their children in the Brownsville area for 40, 50 years and leave them absolutely nothing. So we want affordable housing, but we have to look at veterans who have worked for this country, committing suicide on a perpetual basis, and yet are homeless. We have to look at poor people who are on welfare, or who are the working poor, who are making $20,000 or less, but want affordable housing to have something to leave to their family and their children. So I'm here to support affordable housing, but I think it needs to be defined very clearly, affordable to who? Because all the affordable housing that we're seeing coming up in Brooklyn is affordable to the wealthy and those who are making a lot of money, not to the poor and the indigent. So we want to see Brownsville needs to improve. I worked in that area for 40 years, and we want to see it have a new face, but we want to also see our people who have been there for 40 years remain. Thank you.
Thank you. Russell?
Can you hear me? I'm Russell Fideli. I'm the owner of the 21 properties there. I've been there 47 years. I'm not an owner that's upstairs in an office. I don't wear suits. I'm down on the floor. I unload the trucks. I run the registers. I deal with the community every day. And every day they cry to me for affordable housing. I'm showing my face so that, because Councilwoman Mealy is right. If we leave here, what's the assurity? I'm the assurity. 47 years I'm the face of Brownsville. 7 days a week, every Christmas, every New Year's, every Easter, every Labor Day, I've been there. Sacrificed every weekend for 47 years, every holiday. Everyone in Brownsville knows who I am. I'm the gentleman that gives jobs only to Brownsville. I predominantly, 90% of my people are from incarceration. I'm a believer in second chances because Brownsville gave me a second chance 47 years ago. They gave me the ability to be part of something, to help something. I'm very heavily involved with the schools for 47 years. I'm very heavily involved with the community affairs for 47 years. Brownsville is something I love. It gave me everything I have. It gave me the ability to take care of my family and to be part of something. I am the face of that store and 20 other properties. I brought Dollar Tree there. Dollar Tree did not want its name on there. They wanted deals on there. Deals represented $10 and up. Family Dollar represented $10 and up. I made them commit to Dollar Tree, so they were $1 down. Today, they're $1.25. That was economically conducive to the community, and I knew it was. That was 9 years ago. 9 years later, you don't see deals around Brooklyn. You see Dollar Tree, because the overwhelming success caused the decline of those other locations. I then gave Dollar Tree a 10-year lease out of 25 of a freeze to give them time to make it. I didn't raise them every year. This is what Brownsville's about. It's for me to be interested in making Brownsville better, and I need your help to do it. I need you because you are the strength of Brownsville. And you're right, it needs parking. And I'm the owner telling you this because I'm there every day. And I see what you see. And I know your vision is the right vision. But I am going to give it 100% affordable. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. I am a man of my word, and I couldn't be in Brownsville 47 years on the floor, face to face with every customer if I wasn't. And that's why, thank God, I've been successful. I've had 47 years of keeping a business open in Brownsville. That is a rarity. I've only employed Brownsville, and I continue to want to help Brownsville. But I'm 65 years old. I've unloaded a lot of trailers. It comes to the point where physically you can't do it. That land won't sit occupied. That land will be built. And hopefully with your help, which I desperately need, it'll be 100% affordable. Because I've been approached for the last 7 years for those 21 properties, and I've said no. Because I don't want to hurt Brownsville. And what was offered to me would hurt Brownsville. I could have made a lot of money. I'm not here for money. I'm successful already. I'm here to have something that I leave Brownsville with better than what I came in 47 years ago. I see the people every day face to face. I do what my work is every day face to face. I feel for them. I care for them, or I wouldn't be there. And that's why I'm here. You need to see the face. They're the brains. I'm not the brains. I'm the guy that works. I'm the guy that helps, works, and cares about other people. But I need your help desperately, or it won't work. And yes, I will commit to 100% affordable. This is an owner telling you this. The same way I committed every day working, every holiday, that I will not hurt my customers. I just felt I needed to say that. And hopefully it did. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Ms. Mealy.
Yes, it's no doubt. I've known you, well.
Oh,
back in
you're
the day,
terrific.
Yes.
I know you're brilliant. Believe me.
But I have concerns.
You should.
And no matter what, it's still about making money. And if this zoning go through, and even if it doesn't go through, you would do whatever you want to do with
I don't.
Just
I'm sorry.
hear me out.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. But I'm asking you to make sure that you think about home ownership just as well.
Sure.
Even if one building or something that we can really, you want to help Brownsville, a lot of your employees need home ownership. That'll give someone a leg up in life that will last forever. So I would like to make sure that HPD do what they say. If they're gonna give you Ella, I wanna see it in writing, that we can't let them off the hook. And if you feel that parking is important to you, let's see it a little, because you cannot build all this housing and have the highest density of public housing when NYCHA is taking away parking from NYCHA constituents. And then to build these homes or housing with no parking is a disservice to our community. And myself, me, being an elected official, I have to do my best for this community. And right now is my last opportunity to get parking, because the laws have changed. So I'm asking you, if you need me, we want to work together. Let's try to give the city and the people of Brownsville something more than they ever expected. Good housing, affordable housing, a little bit of parking. Somehow seniors are still driving. And that's unfair to them that they cannot have a car. That's you wouldn't believe. But I thank you for being here. And I can never say you have not done for Brownsville.
Yeah, I mean, turkeys.
Whenever I did ask for some corn, you did give us some. But thank you. But the 47 years, but now we're taking it to a whole nother level now. And I'm looking forward to talking with you and seeing what we can really do. But one more thing. If this doesn't go through, you said it's not gonna sit there vacant for years like other projects in Brownsville. Do you have an idea what you would want to put there?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I've had calls for 6 years for them to buy these properties, and I've said no. Okay. I listen to my customers.
Thank you.
They all want affordable housing. They all want jobs and affordable housing. I'm good at jobs.
Affordable to who?
Affordable means a third of their income, which I have stressed to the prospective developers that it has to be a portion of Brownsville getting the ability of that affordability.
Do you
Well-
feel 80%? Isn't that kind of high?
I'm not aware of the numbers. I'll tell you the numbers that are
So
in
that's
my
what
mind.
we'll
I'll
start.
tell you the numbers that are in my mind. What works for you? That's your community. My objective is I need 100% affordable because developers will not entertain the footage if it's not large enough. But the breakdown will be 100% affordable, and it will be workable what you want because that's your community that runs it.
Do you have a contractor already?
We presently have X-Teen. I believe it's 480 Madison Avenue. They've been told countlessly to me to them, it's 100% affordable. Can you live with it? I made it clear. Because I get calls every week. They want my property, but not in the interest you think. It is in the best interest of what they want to do, and they're moneymakers. But I have to live with it with my conscience. I'll make a lot more money not doing this. That's the truth. And that's why I'm here telling you this. So it will not sit vacant. I want to give the community what they're asking me for. I'm every day with the community. They want affordable housing to the way the gentleman described, and they want jobs, and I'm good at jobs. The problem is I need your help to make Brownsville better because I don't want the alternative. Because again, it will not sit vacant. Either we work together and we give Brownsville what they want and need, or you're going to make me be a businessman. And that's not in the best interest of Brownsville.
Well, it is what it is then.
I'm just being very honest with you, and I'm an honest man.
It will be what it is.
When you hire young human beings that have been incarcerated, we have a thing amongst each other. Be honorable to each other. And I feel I have to be honorable to you guys. I want to do the right thing, but I need you to help me do it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There being no other members of the public who wish to testify in this preconsidered LU relating to the Belmont Osborne Avenue rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. That concludes today's business. I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, subcommittee council, land use and other council staff, and the Sergeant at Arms for participating in today's meeting. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.